A recent report from the Arizona Auditor General shows some school districts in Arizona are spending top dollar on administrator salaries, among them the Tucson Unified School District. For a deeper understanding of why some leaders make six-figure salaries, we turn to John Pedicone, former superintendent of TUSD and Flowing Wells School Districts. He's now an educational consultant.
If you read the Auditor General report, they said that in Arizona, we spend less for administrators than the national average. The national average is over 11% for true administrators, people like superintendents and principals and those folks. And yet we spend a lot of money out of the classroom. And so people go, wait a second, that's being used in a bloated administrative organization. Well, here's what administration is: counselors, nurses, student support personnel, instructional support personnel. Go down the line of all those people that are required, for example, through a desegregation order that you have to have, right. All right? And that are considered to be administrators, and yet they're working directly with students in the classroom. They're just not classroom teachers. So the misperception comes from how that designation occurs and what it looks like to the average person when they say, well, wait a second, the percentage in the classroom in most states is 60%. Here in Arizona, we're at an average of 50%, 51%, and everybody goes, well, I'll just put that other 9% into the classroom where it belongs. Well, if the pie gets smaller, which it has in Arizona, okay, and the percent that you have to use for administration increases because you've got poorer students across the state, now all of a sudden those things that are not considered classroom teachers, that percentage goes up and the classroom percentage goes down. It's an algorithm that's logical if you really know the factors that make it up. And that's what's going on in Arizona and why you see those high alleged administrative costs. You just have to identify what administration really is.
So you may have a superintendent, for example, in TUSD who's making $200,000 plus for 44,000 students, 89 schools. Is that fair? Does that make sense?
I don't know what all the district superintendents make. You can find out as public information. But let's say that the average across the valley is 150 to 175,000. That's not unreasonable for a superintendent. When you then look at, and then you look at the districts that they operate in, you look at not just the number of students, but the geography, 230 square miles, for example, in Tucson Unified, probably the most unique district in the state in terms of its diversity and complexity as well. No question, it's one of the most political districts in the state. Right. And then you say, what does it take to attract a quality leader into that organization? I believe that there should be a cap on what that is, because you can argue, I'm going to spend whatever it takes to get that person in here, she or he, I'll pay whatever I can. But there's a community covenant that I think we need to have with our citizens to say we're not going to exceed what's reasonable either. And then it comes down to a definition of what's reasonable. So I don't think that $220,000, $240,000 is unreasonable for a district like Tucson Unified, because the job is so difficult. It just clearly is. Probably the most difficult superintendency in Arizona, and others might argue that they are just as difficult, but certainly there are none that are any more difficult than Tucson Unified.
The money is there at the state, it goes to the district, then the school board makes a decision on where to spend those dollars. Is it really fair to put all the blame on the school districts?
Well, I mean, I think you put responsibility on the school districts for making those decisions, sure. But it's looking at what are the implications for why those decisions are made in a certain way. If I don't take care of other school personnel and I only focus on teachers, if I'm a teacher, I have a hard time doing my job without the support for those people. So that's why you hear teachers being concerned about only, any plan that only focuses on them. Because again, they know that they cannot do their job in isolation. And if we are a community that makes a difference in the lives and success of students, how do you discount any of those people? So there's no unlimited amount of money, that's for sure. But there's got to be some attention given to all those individuals and programs that help to give a level playing field to students. That's the issue of equity. It's not equality, it's equity. And that's a very, very different concept. And that means that it's going to take some districts more personnel or less personnel to get that job to happen.